And you knew something was wrong. You knew something was most definitely wrong, but there was no transparency. What was once closeness had now become distance. The communication had gone down. Now you're starting to feel frustrated, angry. You're starting to feel like, who is this person? What's happened all of a sudden? And the funny part about it is there's no alcohol or drugs involved. This is totally, simply totally, the sinful nature has kicked in through a characteristic weakness or an unresolved in the heart and mind of this person that is now causing them to not only rebel against themselves, but to rebel against all the things that matter to them. This is what happens. There doesn't have to be alcohol and drugs involved. Lust has a way of arousing itself, and a lot of the times that people don't even know it's happening. The victims of it, victims of the temptation of it, and the arousal and things that it causes to people. And there's millions of ways in which this can work. There's millions of ways in which this can attack people and change people and offend and assault people. There's millions of ways, too many to count. And the only way out of it, and I'm sorry, but it's true, for the most part for these people, is severe pain and loss and a personal revelation of who the Lord Jesus Christ is and how he is the one that helps you overcome evil. It's real. You watch these horror movies and they bring out the crucifix and all this. It's real. But you have to have Christ in your heart, not in your hand. It's Christ in your heart. And so you're watching these people fall apart. They're drugging themselves. They've turned to drugs. They're using that form of self-destruction, these days called self-medication, through chemicals and poisons and recreational drugs, which are poisons, nicotine poisons. And most of these people will not find their way out. They will not find their way out. They won't find their way out. It's not going to happen. And so there's people that go and try and tell them about Christ. And sometimes the timing's not right. Sometimes the timing's not in line with where they're at. They haven't lost enough. They haven't experienced enough to understand that they're at the mercy of a nature inside them that wants to destroy them as soon as possible. And if you add the spiritual realm to that, the dark spiritual realm that's going to encourage and supply all these chemicals and things that are destroying these people, right? And they're everywhere. The masses now are being destroyed by their vanity and ignorance and willful idealisms of enablement of dysfunction. You'll see perfectly normal family members go into states that you would not even imagine the most evil person you've ever met could go into. Behavior that can change overnight. My first wife went from an angel to a demon overnight. So did my second wife. And I had to ask myself, is it me that's causing this trouble? Am I the cause of all this trouble? And there was a strong possibility that maybe I was, but no, you can't. It doesn't matter how good you are. You cannot, excuse me viewers, solve issues that are inside somebody from their childhood, where they've been abused by a family member or some other person and it's been unresolved, or they've been grandized, spoiled. All these things cause things later in life that rise up on people and bring them down and destroy them and everyone else around them. I've witnessed it, I've seen it, I've run into these people too many times. And this is where I got a great understanding of personality disorders, and in particular narcissism, and the way that they describe that, because these people will come in, they will put on the performance of a lifetime, sexually, emotionally, you name it, whatever they can deliver to make you think that they're right for you, and they're trying to be, but it's never going to be. Only to disintegrate once time has passed. And it's hard when you're stable and trying to do the right thing, and by fact of the matter you are, and then all of a sudden this person's falling apart around you, lying, scheming, triangulating, deceiving, coming home late, going to do the shopping and coming home with a packet of Sayo biscuits, gone for 3 hours. You never thought that this person would be the type that would start to mix with people outside the relationship without letting you know, and have the capability of betraying you and destroying you whilst in an intimate relationship. Some of these people are so entangled with their children and enmeshed with their children and have surrogated their children that that becomes a situation within itself. And it's devastation that can come from this while you're trying to build a sensible and reasonable relationship can be irreparable for some people. I've been in a few different campsites this week, and I've seen people on their own, just happy to be on their own. That's it. They're not gonna risk being hurt again. They're just not gonna risk it. They're not going to do it. It's just not something that they're going to be prepared to do. Some people never return from the harm and damage that's been caused to them, and the harm and the damage that they've brought on themselves. You can't blame everybody else all of the time. You have to stop and look at yourself a lot of the time as well. And this is where a lot of people go wrong, because they have no self-awareness, they haven't calibrated, they haven't been in check, they haven't recalibrated, they haven't been able to find a way of checking themselves. And of course, this then leaves them vulnerable to repeat behavior. They just stay on the drugs, they just continue to mislead their children. Demons are all over it. It's thick, it's dark. The light was there the whole time, but they couldn't comprehend it. They were unable to comprehend it because the pain and the loss and the life that had slipped through their fingers was something that they became used to, and therefore the way in which they've allowed themselves to personally form and domestically form is something they've concluded that this is the way that they want to stay. And there's nothing you can do about it. When the money runs out, when the health runs out, when time runs out, their life runs out and you realise, hopefully yours hasn't run out, that these are not the kind of people that are going to help you get anywhere in life.